Welcome to the Your Business on Purpose podcast, the ultimate resource for women business owners looking to confidently navigate their entrepreneurial journey while upholding their principles. I'm Dawnette Palmore, your host and fellow entrepreneur. Join me as we immerse ourselves in illuminating conversations with accomplished experts spanning various fields across the business spectrum. Together, we'll unearth strategic insights into seizing opportunities and ensuring that your business is equipped with the essential elements aligned with your purpose and values. Welcome back to Your Business on Purpose, the show where we explore the strategies, systems, and leadership skills that help entrepreneurs build a business anchored in clarity, in purpose, and sustainability. I'm your host, Dawnette Palmore. I am a fractional CFO, money coach, and insurance strategist. And today's episode is one that every single business owner needs to hear. Every one of these episodes is, because we talk about great topics. But because leadership isn't just about directing others, I think we have this whole misconception of what leadership is or what we think it is. It's really about developing ourselves. And our guest today embodies what it means to lead with purpose, resilience, and lifelong learning. So today I'm honored to welcome Kimberly Mitchell, a mental health advocate, veteran, and transformational leader dedicated to empowering individuals and small businesses through personal and professional development. Kimberly grew up in a home where independence wasn't optional, it was required. She excelled academically, earning numerous awards, including the prestigious Citizenship Medal from the Daughters of the American Revolution. At just 16 years old, she lost her father, a moment that could have derailed her future. But instead, she channeled her strengths into service and enlisted in the Air Force. As the only woman in her vehicle maintenance training class, she not only held her own, she led the way, earning the highest test scores. She later served in Operation Desert Storm, ultimately achieving the rank of E4 Sergeant. After transitioning into civilian life, Kimberly discovered her calling in leadership, training, and development. She has since guided teams across multiple industries, helping leaders adapt, innovate, and grow. Today, she's here to share her story on why training and developing is the backbone of successful leadership, no matter what industry you are in. Kimberly, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for your service. Totally appreciate it. Love our military. We appreciate your sacrifice.
Thank you for your support. It's always nice
Absolutely.
to speak to people who are into veterans and military affairs.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that was a great introduction, but give us a little bit more about what you do and who you are.
Oh, thank you. I am a business owner now. I've been in business on my own for probably about almost 10 years now. And one of the biggest surprises for me in business was learning how much of it was about me and who I am. You know, when you have these businesses that you hear the culture comes from the owner, which is true. But if you haven't done that internal work to know who you are, then the culture you build is really a scattered collection just of thoughts and deeds that don't really connect together with the mission that you're trying to build.
There's a saying that says, stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
Mm-hmm. It's
Sounds
so
like the
true.
same kind of concept. Right. So you were the only woman in your vehicle maintenance class and you excelled. I mean, you outdid them all. What did that season teach you about discipline, leadership, and breaking barriers?
Well, I'll tell you something a little funny is that when I went into the military and the entire time I worked in vehicle maintenance, I didn't know how to drive.
Wow.
No, you didn't have to drive here where I lived. And so I got in, not really sure what I wanted to do with my life. And through learning and building up my skill and learning a new skill, that's how I developed my belief that learning is really the backbone of pretty much everything. Being willing to learn, being open to learning, and really the military's process for education is something I still use in my business today. They take large, complex operations and break them into the smallest repeatable steps. And that's really what training is all about for me.
Yeah, that's what makes you An expert, right? They said 10,000 hours of something will eventually
Mhm.
make you an expert. So same thing, right? Like learning it again and again and again and excelling in it, obviously, right? That's kind of like school where you start on this little 1 plus 1, or actually you just start on what numbers are, right? Identifying them and you build up to be able to do these amazing problems that can be chalkboards long, I've seen.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty crazy, but I love that. And I love that you've taken your experiences and what you've done and put that in and molded it and shaped it into a business, which
Mhm.
is amazing as well. And teaching people what you've experienced and what you've learned in their businesses, because leadership is so important. And again, it's not, I talked a little bit about, it's not about, telling people what to do. It's
That's
not
right.
about being in charge and all this. It's about serving.
Yes, it is. You have that so right. And the reason that your own personal constitution is so important is that if you don't have that center to be able to serve, then it's impossible for you to be an effective leader. Understanding who you are and what makes you work, what makes you tick, what brings you joy is what allows you to want to cultivate that joy in others. And that's really what it's all about. I tell the people that support the business, I work for you.
Yeah.
You are the ones who are doing the work, running the business, doing the tasks. But when you need me to be the one, that high level one, to solve the problems, to fill the gaps, that's what I'm here for, to serve, as you said. And so I wasn't able to do that if I didn't know who I was, if I didn't have my own
Mm.
self. And I struggled with that, quite honestly, for a very long time. And through the work that I've done and the business that I've been able to create from that work, it really has helped clarify and solidify so many things in my leadership style.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about that work, because I think as business owners, one, it does take us, finding out what makes us tick, what
Mhm.
makes us gives us our drive, does take time. It's a journey. So tell us a little bit about what your journey looked like and how did you find that?
Well, I struggled with functional depression, what
Mm.
looked like functional depression for a very long time. But I was really focused on the symptoms and not the source. So my focus is self discipline. You got to get time management. You've got to get this mindset training, all of these pieces that I needed to put together to try to fix what I felt was broken. But really, what I realized through my own exploration, through that work, through that learning, was that I had no joy. And my framework that I developed, I actually called it Journey to Joy because it was a journey to get from discarding all of the preconceived notions that I had and really coming to a place where I could learn again, take this problem, break it down into small, repeatable steps, and put it into something that I could now find joy in all the things that I do. And that really comes down to choice,
Mm.
meaning everything we do, we make a choice. Sometimes that choice is conscious, sometimes it's unconscious. And if we don't know what that choice is based on, what belief that choice is based on, then we have these things running our lives that we are not even aware of on a conscious level.
That's so
So
true.
the first step that I did was figuring out, what do I believe about myself? And
Mm.
that's one of the most important questions everyone can ask and answer. Do that work. What do I believe about myself? And some of those clues were lying in memories that I had, vivid memories from not even just childhood. Some of them were young adults, but those memories were clues to beliefs I had formed about myself. And I was making choices based on those beliefs that I hadn't even thought twice about. Once I began testing those beliefs and really seeing if they're actually true, that's when my life started to change. And that's when all the things that I did, including the way I run my business, began to change.
That's amazing. And wow, like looking at ourselves and we don't have those conversations, right? Because that's hard. What do we
Mhm.
really believe about ourselves? Because we can put something on the outside, but what's actually playing is something different, which
Oh,
is amazing. And awareness is always the first step, right, to
oh,
change.
always the
Oh,
first step.
yeah.
And,
And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say that when you are working on autopilot and you have stopped even thinking about the choices that you're making, all you see is the result of those choices. And those results are not necessarily the truth about what's going on with you. Like I will tell you one for me, I struggled with being healthy, healthy habits. And I would say, I'm really going to, this month, first of the month, I am going to clean out my refrigerator, clean out the cabinets, all healthy stuff. I would go buy all the stuff, fridge jam packed with vegetables and fruits. All it would take is one bad day, one
Mm.
comment that I didn't like, one experience that changed my emotions, and I'm sitting on the couch with a fork and a cake.
Oh,
And it's all over from that point on. And really understanding, what did I believe about myself that I let this incident completely alter what I said I wanted, completely
mm,
change that perspective for me. And like you said, that awareness of saying, who are you really hurting when you do this? What are you really feeding with this cake? It certainly wasn't anything that was healthy for me. And when I had to take those moments and really peel back those layers, that's when I started to see what the real beliefs were underneath.
wow. What great awareness, though. Like, why am I eating this cake? Why am I allowing what somebody said about me to affect the choices I'm making
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
are actually harming myself? That's a really deep question.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, and the first point of awareness is recognizing that you are making a choice.
Mm,
Once
mm,
you recognize that everything you're doing is based on a choice, then you start to recognize how much power you have, how much personal power you have. Because if I can choose this, then I can choose that.
yes. And I think that's important for people to realize is that they do have the choice, but they can give their power away by saying, I don't have one.
Yeah.
When I hear people say, I didn't have a choice, and I'm like, but you did. You may not
Yes.
have liked the choices you had, but you did have a choice. And when you say you don't, then you're giving your power away. You're just, okay, well, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And then you wonder why you're in a hole or you're in depression or whatever
Hmm.
the case may be. It was by simply giving away your power.
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's absolutely true. And it is an immense power that, again, it requires some true self reflection for the unconscious choices. The conscious
Hmm.
choices are easy. I could go this way to work or I could go that way to work. But think about just driving to work. It becomes so automatic. You can leave your house and not even realize how you got to work.
Yeah.
You
You
can
got there and you're like, oh, I'm here already.
right. You can't name 5 things you saw on the way to work because you're in auto mode, but you're choosing even in auto mode.
Right.
So
Right.
until you're ready to really dig in and look at those choices and reclaim those choices, that's where the real work begins.
Wow. So what are some things people can do to, one, just become aware of what's going on? I mean, because like you said, we go through this world a lot of times mindlessly. We're just coasting, we're on autopilot or whatever the case may be. And we're not even like, yeah, you know how to get to work, great. But what about what's happening around you?
Mhm.
So how do we do this? What's the secret sauce?
Well, there are several different things you can do to practice. And I would say so when you're talking about those things that you do automatically. Set a goal and say, I'm gonna recognize 5 things on my way to work every day. Or just say for a week. Every day for a week. When I get to work, I'm gonna remember 5 things that I saw on the way. Just to practice becoming aware of things that you typically aren't aware of. Secondly, you can just get a piece of paper, write in the first column things that I want to do. The second column, things that I believe about myself in order to do these things.
Mm,
The third column, tasks that I do that support that belief.
Mm,
Fourth column gets where it gets interesting. Things that I do that go against that belief. And then the
wow.
last column is what must I really believe about myself to do the things in that fourth column. That's where you start to really say, if I really believed that I could get this job and do this, get that promotion, then I probably would do more speaking up in meetings. I probably would share my ideas more. But if I take that with me and walk out without saying a word, do I really believe that I can do that job? Is there another belief that I might have that says my thoughts aren't valuable, that this person knows more than me, that maybe I'm not suited for the work? What are those beliefs? When you recognize those beliefs, you're going to recognize the choices that you're making based on those beliefs.
Wow, wow. That is so good. I love it. And almost simple, right? It's not like
Mhm.
I mean, you're gonna have to think and not lie to yourself, right? Because we're good at lying to ourselves. We're good at
Oh,
about talking ourselves into something or out of something or doing all these crazy things. But when we can just look at it black and white, like it's gonna show up if we're lying, right?
oh
Because
yeah,
we're gonna put those things to the test and then they're gonna still come back negative because we're
exactly.
lying. And then we're gonna have to come back and take another look and redo the worksheet, right? The exercise.
Exactly. But the really it's so empowering and so exciting when you recognize that regardless of where you are in life, everything about your life is what you chose.
Mm,
So if there's something you don't like, you can choose differently. The problem is that if you're not aware of the choices, then you're not going to be able to make those changes. The behavior comes after the belief.
oof, that is good. That is good. I think it's Jim Rohn or Zig Ziglar that said, "You're not a tree. If you don't like your circumstances, you can get up and move."
Exactly.
You can change your location or whatever it is. So how does this, bleed into us as business owners? Because you said, leaders are kind of what sets the vibe, the culture of the business.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, my business my is working primarily with early stage entrepreneurs. And the first, the very first issue that we work together on is that belief. You start a business because you say, I want to be able to help all of these people. And personally, I want to be able to have self-sustaining income and be able to do things with my family. That means that I want a business that generates $200,000 a year. If you don't believe that you're the kind of person who can run a business that generates $200,000 a year, it doesn't matter what processes you put in place, what systems you buy, who you hire, the business will not grow. If you
Mhm.
don't believe that what you have is really valuable, that the product or service that you provide is valuable to people, you will not go and ask for those sales. You will not go and put yourself out there to have people see what you have to offer and actually buy it. You'll undervalue it, you'll underprice it.
You'll talk
If
them out of it.
Absolutely. And and if you really don't believe in yourself, you will hide in the shadows instead of being forward and being out in the community and networking and on socials and doing all the things that require you that a business requires you to do when you want to generate that level of income. So it all starts with what do you believe about yourself?
That is so good because people are going to actually see that, right? Like we think we can put masks on, we can put, these things on, but people truly see right through it, even through their own mask.
Mhm.
They can see through you.
Uh-huh.
So why are we even doing it? I don't know.
It's safe. Every fear is really the core when you start talking about
Mm,
these beliefs. Every limiting belief has an emotion attached to it, every single one. And the belief with the strongest emotional charge is the belief that's running that show. That's the one that's behind
mm.
the scenes, like the Wizard of Oz with the curtain.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the belief. And if you're not aware of that belief, because that's the other piece of it is some beliefs we've had so long, we just stopped even checking them. They just are a truth and we just go forward. If you're not willing to go back and examine and say, is this true? and see what the source of it is and see if that source was a misinterpretation. Because sometimes I'm sure we've all had a situation where even at work, we're doing something on the job and somebody makes a remark and we internalize that remark and we are all like, oh, well, who knew they felt that way about me? I bet you I won't do this anymore. Turns out they weren't even really, that's not what they meant at all. But we took it, we internalized it, we
Mm,
formed a belief about it, and then we made choices based on that belief. The
wow.
same thing when we start with these businesses and why we are so attached to it because it feels safe. The fear, the thought of approaching this person and saying, hey, when you said that, did you mean this? Because that's how I took it and it made me feel this particular way. We get so afraid of that confrontation. It feels safer to just take the belief and run with it.
Yeah, that's a good word. Because we have so much communication, but we're not communicating.
Right. That's so right. Mhm.
Oh my gosh. This is so eye-opening, because you can sabotage everything from the very beginning with just
Absolutely.
thoughts and beliefs.
Absolutely.
And when we look at successful people, when we think about them, they've overcome or they've dealt with their limiting beliefs, the beliefs that were placed there by someone else or
Yeah.
misinterpreted,
Yeah.
by ourselves. All these things, they've actually dealt with that, and that's why they are where they're at.
Mhm.
And so, if that is the only thing holding us back, why are we still, as you said, fear? But it's like, why are we still fighting ourselves?
Mhm, mhm, because it
Why do
can
we
look
fight
like so
ourselves?
many different things. It can look like, so if I'm struggling to exercise and lose weight, I can call it menopause, I can call it low
Mm,
metabolism, I can call it poor self-discipline. I can name 5 different things that are reasons for why I'm in this position, but it's not the truth. We don't know, we don't think, we're not taught that belief is really at the core. And a
mm,
belief is really just a thought you've kept thinking over and over and over again. That literally means you can change it immediately because
wow.
the way the brain works, the brain likes evidence. And I
Mm.
use this example also. If I say to myself, you know what? I'm going to get in there and organize that closet next Saturday because it's just out of control. And then Saturday comes and I go, oh, I really don't feel like dealing with that closet. I'll do it next week. And then next week comes, I go, but it's so nice outside. I'll deal with the closet later. When I then say to myself, I'm going to set a goal to generate $1,000 in my business next month. My brain says, you couldn't even organize a closet.
Mm.
So you definitely aren't gonna generate a
Your brain
thousand
puts you
dollars
in a
in your
check.
exactly, because your brain knows what you believe about yourself, and if you you can't keep that commitment to yourself, your brain is like, I now have evidence that you don't do what you say you're going to do. And then it just runs on that belief. So that's why we have to be. It's really just like our brains really work like ChatGPT. ChatGPT really works on a prediction model. To give an example, if you ask ChatGPT, what is the capital of France? Well, it doesn't go to a database and pull Paris from the database. What it does is it looks at all of the data that it's trained on and says, when I see capital France, I see Paris. So Paris must be the capital. We do the same thing with our brains. Our brains are trained on our lives, all the data we've taken in from our family, from our education, from our work, from just growing up. It's trained up until this particular moment. And when we have to make a choice, when we're going through life, we're pulling from that database to determine how we're going to feel about something, how we're going to interact with something, what we want to do. So our brains are really filtering what we're seeing and what we perceive. Pretty
Wow.
much, so there's a function in the brain called the reticular activating system, and that works as a filter that shows you more of what you already believe.
Mm,
Many people have done that exercise where they say, hey, look around the room. I'm going to give you a minute. look around the room at all of the red items. And so you look around the room, you see all the red items. Yep, 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 yep. And then they say, okay, time's up. Tell me all the brown items in the room. And their brains go, because they didn't look for the brown. I only looked for the red. And then when you look down around, you're like, there's brown everywhere. But my brain literally couldn't see it because I wasn't looking for it.
Mm,
It's no different. When we form these beliefs about ourselves, our brains look for evidence to support those beliefs. And
wow.
that's why it's so important when you do become aware of those beliefs and you do become aware of the choices, you have to actively make different choices that will give your brain evidence to say, we are now changing our belief.
Wow. My mind is so blown. Like, all this stuff's coming together. It's like, "Oh, well, that makes sense, and that makes sense, and that's why da 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 da."
Mhm.
Wow. What a concept and just a what a great conversation because we really have to go back to the roots. We
Yeah.
really have to go back to the depths of our soul, to the bottom of it. And now I see why people don't want to go deal with their trauma, why they don't want
Mhm.
to go deal with things, but it's also holding us back.
Absolutely.
And it's robbing us of our power to be able to move
Ooh,
forward into the things that we really want to do, who we really want to be, and how we want to
absolutely.
show up in this world. So thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. Like this is so, like I said, just mind blowing. Wow. I need to do those exercises myself and write it down. And I'm working on a goal setting book right now. And I'm asking these kinds of questions because
Mhm.
we have to go into the depths of it. As
Mhm.
ugly as it might be, once there's a, I was listening to one of my mentors and he talks about how a seed gets buried, but it gets buried where it's dark and
Oh, yeah.
it's gross and it's wet. But when it comes up, when it's gotten through the ground, like it becomes this beautiful rose bush or orange tree or whatever it's supposed to become. But it has to go through that ugliness,
Yeah.
that dampness, that darkness to get to the light and become what it was meant to be. And that's what this can do for us. And,
Oh,
and that's
yeah.
what working with you can do for people. Like if you want to take yourself to the next level, if you want to take your team, your business, anything, you guys need to get a hold of Kimberly. So if they're saying, I need to get her, I need to connect with her, how do they find you?
Well, I am at kimm.co. Kim.co is the website. On socials, I am KIMMDOTCO, Kim.co. Reach out. I will absolutely love talking about this. I could talk about this all day long. It's really amazing.
It's fascinating and I loved it. The everything will be in the show notes so you guys don't have to jot it down or try to remember it. But Kimberly, again, thank you so much for sharing your story, your insight. And your journey is such a powerful reminder or a reminder that leadership is actually built. It's not
Mm.
just something we're born with, right?
Yes.
It's developed in the innermost parts of us.
Oh, yeah.
And to everyone listening, if today's conversation gave you clarity, inspiration, and or encouragement, be sure not to just to follow my show, but go find Kimberly, go find where she's at on social media, go follow her because you obviously know she's full of some good stuff and we want more of that good stuff. And if you're ready to bring more structure, purpose, and financial stability into your business, you can schedule a free call with me. You guys know how to do that. We've talked about that many times. But thank you for joining us because without our listeners, we wouldn't have a show. And until next time, keep leading with intention, keep learning, and keep building your business on purpose. This podcast is dedicated to you and all the incredible women out there breaking chains, pushing through, and striving to make it all work. Your support truly means the world to me. Could you do me a favor? Be a gem and leave a review. It will help us reach even more women, making a bigger impact. Your feedback is invaluable, and I would genuinely appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, ensuring you never miss an episode. Until next week, live a purposeful life in both your business and your finances.